If you dream of becoming a K-pop vocal queen or king, then listen closely. I've spent 100+ hours in training rooms, coaching trainees, and digging into idol techniques to find tips that the top 1% of trainees never share. If you properly apply these 11 tips, it's my promise you'll start singing 50% better right after this video ends. Tip 11. You have to see the instrument behind you. There was a time when I used to do endless singing techniques, but when I started live performances, all of those failed miserably. I still remember bawling my eyes out and thinking, why can't I do it? But then my coach shared a trick with me. He told me to imagine the piano, strings, or beat is physically in the room behind you. It completely changes how your singing connects with the track. Suddenly, your timing snaps into place, and everything clicks effortlessly. Use all your senses in this, and keep doing it for 3 months. Share your results in the comments section to inspire others. Tip 10. Use the right distance between mic and mouth. One of the biggest mistakes I see trainees make is changing their volume by pushing or pulling their voice every verse. It makes your voice shaky. That's why idols like Hyolyn, Ailee, and Eunji use mic distance as a tool. So when a line becomes louder or more intense, they move the mic slightly away. When the line gets softer or more intimate, they bring it closer. This simple adjustment is called mic dynamics. It lets you control volume and intensity without straining your throat or forcing sound. As a K-pop coach, I noticed this skill immediately because it shows that a trainee understands live performance technique. Honestly, it increases your chances of selection in K-pop auditions. Tip 9. Sing like you're telling someone a story. I know singing is your passion, but passion alone won't make you stand out in K-pop. 80% of people think that hitting the notes, staying on pitch, and remembering the melody is the only thing that matters. But do you know what truly makes a trainee shine? It's the ability to make the listeners feel something. The best example of this is When This Rain Stops by Wendy. She's sharing her personal journey through this song, and that's why the song feels like a warm hug. So how do you do that? I tell my students to analyze every phrase. Ask yourself, what is this line trying to express? Where should the emotion rise? When should it soften? When you sing with this mindset, your delivery transforms. I've put together a list of 100 songs that will help you improve your singing. If you want it, subscribe to the channel and drop your favorite vocalist in the comments. Tip 8. Start practicing silent singing. I know 90% of trainees don't even know about this incredible technique, but a lot of K-pop idols follow it religiously. You have to sing in your head while imagining pitch, phrasing, dynamics, and even emotional delivery without making a sound. I know it sounds weird, and I thought the same when I was a trainee. But once I tried it, my pitch control and timing shot up instantly. Silent singing forces you to think like a performer. You start planning every rise, every fall, every emotional punch before your voice even moves. It's like a cheat code that makes your singing better. Tip 7. Don't panic when a note isn't perfect. You practiced for hours, but during the performance, your voice cracks or a note doesn't land perfectly. First thing you should know, that's normal. Do you think K-pop idols sing perfectly every single time? Not at all. The internet is full of live voice crack moments. What really separates beginners from professionals is how they react to those moments. Many trainees panic the moment they realize a note wasn't perfect. Professional trainees do the opposite. If a note slips, they simply continue performing like nothing happened. And honestly, most listeners won't even notice a small mistake unless you react to it. In fact, confidence after a mistake is one of the most valuable skills you can develop as a singer. Tip 6. You need to stop forcing vibrato. If your bias is Jungkook, then you shouldn't skip this tip, because he's a perfectionist who has mastered this technique. Vibrato is that gentle wave you hear when a singer holds a long note. And I agree that it makes a voice sound emotional, but the problem is that many trainees try to force it. If you've ever caught yourself shaking your jaw, pulsing your throat, or intentionally wobbling the note to create vibrato, then you need to stop. I see this all the time with new singers. The issue is that forced vibrato is very easy to recognize. Judges and vocal coaches hate this, to be honest. So what should you do? Remember that vibrato happens naturally when your voice is relaxed, your breathing is balanced, and your vocal cords are working efficiently together. In fact, the more you try to force vibrato, the less trained you sound. Tip 5. Learn how to reset your breath without breaking the song. Let me ask you something. Have you ever listened to your own singing recording and suddenly heard yourself take a huge breath in the middle of a line? It almost sounds like, before the next phrase starts. Last year, when I was reviewing online auditions, I noticed that almost 40% of trainees were doing exactly this. They were taking big breaths at random places in the song. That literally made my ears bleed. That's why I train my students with something called breath reset. Instead of grabbing a large breath, you learn to reset your air quickly and quietly between phrases. It's a short, controlled inhale that happens almost invisibly. Tip 4. You have to start every note clearly. One of the fastest ways to sound like a trained singer is starting every note clearly. When I was a trainee, my coach gave me a strange assignment. He told me to listen to first-generation K-pop idols for at least 2 hours every day. At that time, I honestly hated it. But after a few weeks, my friends started praising my singing because I had started developing incredible clarity when starting notes. That's why learning to start notes with precision is so important. When you sing, the pitch should land immediately. The tone should sound clear, and the airflow should stay balanced. In vocal training, this is called attack control, or vocal onset. Professional singers use different types of note attacks. The key idea is simple. The note should begin smoothly without instability. I've seen trainees with very average voices suddenly sound much more polished and professional just by fixing how they start their notes. So master this skill, and skills will assume you've had serious vocal training. Tip 3. Learn how to place consonants slightly earlier. When I was a trainee, my coach once stopped me mid-song and said, "Your timing isn't wrong, your consonants are." At first, I thought he was joking. How could something like that matter? But now, after coaching singers myself, I see this mistake all the time. Many trainees place consonants too late in the word. For example, when singing the word love, they stretch the L too long and then rush into the vowel. But Jungkook, Jennie, and your favorite singers do the opposite. They place the consonant a tiny bit earlier, so the vowel lands exactly on the beat. Remember that melody actually lives inside the vowel sound, not the consonant. So when the vowel hits the beat perfectly, the phrase suddenly sounds more rhythmic. When I review auditions today, this is one of those subtle things that tells me whether someone has trained or not. Tip 2. Make sure your head is slightly tilted up. I always share this technique with my students. When you're singing, keep the throat open so the sound can resonate. You'll notice that many singers have a slight upward tilt of the head. It's very subtle, but it plays an important role in vocal production. When singers lift their heads slightly and keep their neck relaxed, it helps maintain an open vocal tract, which allows the sound to resonate more freely. Remember, tension restricts airflow and makes the voice sound tight or strained. That's why most K-pop singers keep their posture open and balanced. The slight upward angle helps prevent the throat from collapsing, while still keeping the body relaxed. Tip 1. You have to smooth out your register transitions. Let me share something from my trainee days. When I was training, my coach could figure out my level within 5 seconds of hearing me sing because of how my voice moved between registers. And now that I'm coaching trainees myself, I do the exact same thing. Basically, your voice naturally shifts between different registers: chest voice, mixed voice, and head voice. The zone where these shifts happen is called the passaggio, and this is where most trainees accidentally expose themselves. I teach my students to practice connecting these registers so smoothly that the listener can't even hear the transition happening. The voice just flows like one continuous instrument, instead of 3 separate gears switching.